we're gonna get right into it. We're gonna bring on our first guest, Brock Hammaker. Let's bring him on in. Brock, how you doing tonight?
Good. How are you guys?
Great.
Good, man. Good. Hey, appreciate you coming in, man. Getting to know you a little bit at the racetrack. Obviously, we know the last name. It's Central PA. It's a name that's been around. So let's start off like we always do with guests that we've never had on before, and we want to know because I don't even know all the answers. Tell us a little bit about your family's background in racing that you know. Your parents, your cousins, your brothers, your uncles, your I don't know. You got a whole family tree still racing. So tell us a little bit about that and you're a young guy and then kind of go into where you got started and where you're at today.
Honestly, the family history goes back a while. I really don't even know the true start to it. I know somewhere along the line, someone sold a race car to my dad, and that's kind of how they got started. And you know, it's been a ongoing thing ever since. His father got involved with it, and they actually started out in modifieds, and then they took the turn, got into late models. They sucked through all that. Like they were absolutely terrible. You know, never had much success there. They did have some success, and then somewhere along the lines, they got into super sportsmen's and sprint cars, and that's kind of what it's been ever since. And you know, they've been doing that for '90s, I believe, for the sprint car and open wheel action. Um, and then I know my cousin Nate ran back in the early 2000s. He ran 358s. Um, he had his fair share of wins. And Doug, Dale, they ran sprint cars for quite a bit now. And then Dale retired in 2012, I believe. But, the history goes back a long time. And it's definitely one of the names that I believe will be remembered for a while in Central PA. So I'm glad to be a Haymaker.
So give us a little bit of background on your kind of where you got started. What age did you start driving and what's been your path to right now in the super sportsman?
I started around age 13. Started racing go karts and coming up through there. We put one together, me and dad, and just for something to do on the weekends, and started doing that, running more of the state series stuff when we got better at it and had our fair share of wins. The one year I think we clocked out 16. Um, and then over the winter there last year, I was kind of like, the go kart stuff. It's fun until you get to the adult stuff, and then you're just destroying equipment 90% of the time. Guys race with like no respect, and it's a whole different level of racing. It's like a demo derby with really expensive equipment, and you just get sick and tired of it to the point where you want to move into something else. And so, we I talked to my brother, and he had a super sportsman he was planning on racing, and I ended up in that. So, big thank you to him for putting me in it, and thank you to my dad for letting me run it. Um, yeah.
So how's that experience been so far? You've gotten a test or two in. I think your first race was going to be was rained out. I want to say, or something happened there, and you've gotten a few under your
Yeah.
belt now. So you know,
We
the first time in the car, what were your thoughts the first time you got in that car and went to a test session? What were the emotions like, and what did you think about the race car?
so the first time we went out, I was supposed to go out by myself in the um, rookie sportsman class at Test and Tune, and then I ended up going out with the other cars, completely accidental. But I ended up, pulling away from the rest of the cars that were out there, and actually was like pretty impressed with that, and I think everybody else that was with us was too. And then, we went to another Test and Tune, had a decent time, got some really good laps underneath my belt, and our first race, I started 17th and ended up, I was running 10th and I lost brakes. And, I probably could have pumped it out and kept it around 10th. But, not knowing what I was doing, I just pulled in, took the DNF and moved on. And then I pulled a 13th and a fourth and a third. And that's under 4 starts. So I'm pretty impressed with what I've done. But I think I can do more before the end of the year. So we'll see. But
What do you think helped you adapt so quickly to it, to pass cars and feel comfortable around other race cars and make lap times in a very unique car that you really, I mean, your family isn't even in that series at the moment, really, at all. So, what do you think got you feeling comfortable so fast?
I think it's honestly just being around it for so long. We never really ran super sportsmans, but even still watching Doug grow up and watching him almost from the start race and watching Nate race growing up, I think that really helped me out. Listening to conversations that they have and being around it for such a long time that it really helped me adapt quicker. And then on top of that, like racing the go kart really taught you some good habits on like how to know like what's around you and be aware of where you're at and stay high alert because a lot of stuff happens quick in go karts. So I mean, it happens quicker now, but I think all that put together really helped me adapt. And honestly, I think that's really what it comes down to is just the go kart time and listening to Doug growing up.
Have you strictly been at BAP so far?
Yeah, so that's the only place I've ran. Sadly, we were supposed to go to Bedford, which we didn't go just because not a lot of experience. It would have been my first race, and that would have been probably a pretty traumatizing experience for me. But we ran BAP so far. We have Williams Grove coming up, which I'm excited for that. I hear a lot about the bridge and how it messes with the air of the car and, the long straightaways and sweeping corners. I'm really excited for that. So we'll see.
That'll be a challenge for sure. Was like Bedford, being your first race, was it the town of Bedford or was it the racetrack you were worried about? Because I've heard
I think
some
it was,
sketchy things about the town of Bedford, No,
I
no, I'm
never
just
heard
kidding.
nothing about the, yeah, I never heard nothing about the town, but I think I was just more so, I think I would have been fine. I think just with it being my first race, I think everybody else was a little worried, but I think I would have been fine. That's the one thing that I rarely have is doubts about myself. And that's not even coming from like a cocky standpoint. I'm just a very confident person, and I believe if you give me enough time in any car, I can win in it. It's just going to take me time to adapt to it and learn. But I mean,
Uh,
I think I can learn pretty quickly.
Jimmy typically does fan questions, but I'm going to ask because where did the number come from?
So that's actually I get that question a lot. We everybody had 66 growing up, and then like my dad had 662, and Russell, my brother, had 66R. Doug had 66H for a while. Nate had 66N. And I was stealing everybody's number for the longest time. And finally, last year we were doing the rap there, and I'm like, let's do like a different number. And Chad Mullen and then they're like, what do you want to do? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I never had my own number, and we eight's always been my favorite number, and I was just like 668, and they kind of looked at me weird, but they were like, all right, let's do it, and that's what it's been ever since.
And well, when you said ever since, on your cart all the way through?
No, so it actually came along last December when we were getting sitting there deciding last year's design. That's ever since then. So it's like a year and a half in the making.
And let's talk about the design. Jimmy, do you have that picture? Is that fairly
No, I
handy?
don't.
No,
I
that's
don't know how to
okay.
get it up there.
The design, it's a white car with some pink on it. So, I mean, what design did that really take? Like, how much, like, did you come up with that? It's super intricate. It's white with a pink number.
No, that was actually like we were the first race we were gonna go to. We didn't even have stickers on the car, so it was like I told Chad, I'm like, listen, get me whatever you can get, as long as it has pink on it, I'm fine. And like, I get a lot of comments about the pink and all of that. And, we ran that in the go kart, and it was kind of, that was even like one of those things. It was like, what the hell? Why not? And it was pink, blue, and purple then with white body on the back. And it was something different. And, honestly, like a lot of people liked it on the go kart. And I was like, if we could make something like that happen on the Sportsman, like I know people, I shouldn't say people, like my brother and my dad aren't the biggest fan of the pink. And it's their car. So honestly, they could have shut it down, but they let it happen. And I really think it like brings out I wouldn't say brings out who I am, but like it's like a standpoint of who I am. I
Go
like
ahead,
pink.
put the comment up, Jimmy. I think family's watching. You got,
Yeah.
You can get comments because it's ugly.
A lot of people think that, I guess. I don't know.
listen, I think
I
like
like it.
the way you have the font done with the number, there's a lot of design cues you could go around that and make that like flow and work good, right? Because right now it's just basic. You barely had it wrapped to get out there and get going. So as you get going and get into this, and you want to keep the number and keep the colors, I think there's a lot of design cues with the way that font is designed, with some things you can do in the body of that car. I mean, the super sportsmen are definitely goofy looking, but
Okay.
there's
Well,
some.
that's hateful.
What do you mean? They're are
Oh,
they? Listen,
I mean, there's sprint
beauty is in
cars.
beauty is in the eye of the beholder. The world thinks they're goofy looking, but listen, I'm just saying that those numbers in that font, there's some design things that you could do with it, definitely make it flow well. So, and there's some sharp looking super sportsmen out there. So, I like where you got started, Russell. I don't want to hear it. No pink hate, no
No,
668 hate. Okay.
I have
If
two
he's up
questions
front,
though.
if he's up front, it can look any way it wants. Go ahead.
So question one, you said number 8 is your favorite number. Why is that?
I don't know. I just, that's always what it's been. As long as I can remember. I mean, it's always kind of been like a lucky number to me. And truthfully, I really don't know. Like, 7 is my birthday, May 7th. So it's like, you think I'd choose that. But no, I mean, it's just 8's kind of been from the start for no reason. And I've kept it. So,
Fair enough.
My oldest daughter was born on May 7th. How about
And my uncle is May 7th. How about that?
Wow.
that?
That's
Follow up question: the
What?
pink. Why are you so
L.
adamant with the pink? What's the deal with the pink?
nobody does it. How many cars do you see that were pink besides like Kramer
I
Williamson and a
can
few other
confirm.
guys?
JJ Loss, Tim Wagaman.
Yep.
Yeah, so
Hey, other than
you
those
got
guys,
a handful. Yeah, it's a handful
Yeah.
of guys, but
It definitely stands out.
Kramer was the legend growing up, and
Mhm.
he had a lot of pink on his car. I mean, what's it
he's
stopping?
the
You
Pink
know?
Panther. So there you are.
Yeah.
I love it. I love that. Very good. Continue on, Jeremy.
No, yeah, okay. So looking forward, you said Williams Grove's on the schedule. We're already, that's going to get you into early to mid August here. There's going to be some BAPS races left. What else this year that's different? Number one question would be any other tracks other than Williams Grove and BAPS, and are you running the 100?
We are running the 100. I don't know how stoked anybody is for that in our side of the racing world. I know I'm stoked for it. Hopefully, I can make it 100 laps. That break's going to be crucial for me. And then I believe BAPS is all that's left on the schedule, just because everywhere else is kind of like one of those what if situations. Like we could go to Path, but we'd probably end up junking some equipment there, and we only got one race car, so it's not like we can afford that right now. And then on top of that, I mean, we could go to Selinsgrove, but we have a wet sump motor, so it's going to be pretty difficult for us. So, it's just more so like what if situations. I mean, we could go to all of them, but I don't know if we'd make it through all of them.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I think it's better to be smart. Get the seat time. Now, are you going to do any more testing throughout the weeks? With only a handful of races left, or are you saying, hey, I want to save the laps and use them in the races?
That's a really good question. I haven't even thought about that. I did want to talk to Dad and Russ about a testing tune coming up just before the 100 lapper. I really want to win that one. I mean, it's the 50th annual, so that'd be really badass if that was my first win.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if it's not my first win, it's also my rookie year, and I only got a handful of starts, so I'm not going to be crazy upset about it.
Yeah, I think it's
So,
one of them where, I mean, you can never set the bar too high for yourself, and I appreciate that, but that's a hard damn race to win, or finish, let alone win, right? So, listen, I'm not putting
yeah.
anything past you. You already have a third on your freaking resume
Third and a
in a
fourth.
very
Yep.
competitive division, with against a great field of cars. So, um, it really was amazing. The first time I saw you behind the wheel, and I was like, this is not its first time. Like, there's no way, and I can see you almost learning lap by lap, and car was tight, entry, how you set the car, and throttle, and because you can hear it in testing tunes. There's not that many cars on the track at once, so um, you know, with with you being obviously a quick learner and a quick study with this, um, what are your goals? I mean, I don't want to say what are your goals because you want to go win every race you enter, but what are you looking for? I know it's early to talk about next year, but are you trying to build the program with what you have for next year, another car, some other parts to race more, or just have things to replace if inevitably you're going to break something at some point and run into something? So, kind of what is your plan? You may not have it all written down and like, hey, this is absolutely the way it's going to go. But as you look toward 2025, what's kind of your idea?
I know we're gonna most likely compete in all the weighing races. I mean, that's what I believe we're gonna do. I mean, it's still got to be talked over with everybody and stuff. But on top of that, talking with Chad Mullen, I think we're gonna try to do some wingless stuff if we can get a car together and all that, and do it the right way. If we can't do it the right way and we're half-assing it, it's not gonna happen. Um, that's one of the bigger things in the family that I've gotten thrown on for is half-assing stuff in the past. So we're that was go-karts though, so we can't, like, this is a whole different ball game, and you can get hurt way quicker. So if it involves any half-assing, we're not gonna do it. And beyond that, I mean, we're just planning on. Main goal is to hit every wing race that we can next year that we think we can run. But if we can
And
get a wingless car,
if
if we
I'm
can get a
allowed to ask,
wingless car,
how old are you, Brock?
18.
Okay. So you're young and you're stupid. Okay. But the best thing you said so far is that you're going to take your time and you're not going to half ass it. So you have all the time in the world to get this right and to learn, and you won't get seat time if you don't have your shit together. So if it ain't right, it ain't going to work. There goes your seat time. So it's worth the patience there and, get the laps in. So that's all I have. Jimmy, Chris, what do you got?
I got two quick questions. One for Jeremy. Jeremy, do you know what a wet sump motor
Between
means?
a dry sump and a wet sump oil pump?
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you know what that means? I was just wondering that, because that's a Brett Perigo thing he taught me a long time ago.
I've been taught it in technical terms. I couldn't recite it to you this moment, no, but I get the
good.
general idea. Yes,
I couldn't recite it to you either.
Brock, can you explain it to everybody that might not know?
Explain it to the stupid people, because I've only heard this one time and I felt like I was stupid.
We better not ask that question to me. I'm not the brightest of nerds, so I don't really know either. I just know what some probably won't make it around Selinsgrove for 25 laps, and
there you go.
dry sump will.
There we go. Good enough. Good enough. And then the follow-up question. So, Brock, I wasn't there Thursday. I'm sure Tony and his gang asked you, but the Sports 100, big race. You mentioned winning it and that being your first win. What does that race mean to you, and what would winning it mean to you?
It's one of those things you can't really describe with words. It'd be really crazy to win. Especially with it being the 50th annual, it's definitely going to be one of those things that if I did win it and I was to get interviewed there on a front stretch, I wouldn't know what to say. Especially with it being my first win, if and when it does come. If that was my first one, it would be it'd be a night to remember. That's pretty much what I can say.
Fair enough. Go ahead, Jimmy.
Tony in the chat, Tony Sharp says, ask him about his shoes. What's up with your shoes?
Yeah, it's back to the pink. I'm a big pink guy, and Simpson has some pretty cool shoes out, and they're pink, yellow, green. I think there's some blue in there, some black. They're but that's what we got.
You talked about the Sports 100 and trying not to fall out of the seat, and you're going to need the break. Have you been in the gym? Are you working out?
Yeah. So I believe that fitness is one of the biggest. I wouldn't say it's one of the biggest, but I do believe it's a big part behind the seat and behind the wheel. I started going to the gym back in like December, and I started going till about around April, May, and then I kind of slacked for a little bit. But I mean, before I got on here, I was at the gym. I got home and cooked dinner here, and that's kind of gym's a pretty crucial part of my day normally. I go every day almost, and yeah.
So go ahead, Jimmy.
Randy Kopp asks, is there going to be any merchandise in the future for sale?
That's the plan. Our merchandise guy is slacking, I guess you could say. I'm trying to get on and help me make some merch, but because I don't know what I'm doing fully. So, but I plan to get some merchandise out for next year, maybe the end of this year. But either way, I plan to get some.
The question I do ask, and I really didn't do that. We usually do it closer to the end, but we're already 20 minutes in. So far, and this is carts. I mean, maybe you have to go back to carts because you only have 4 races in the Sportsman. So Santos used my question in the chat to ask you the question that I asked drivers. So thanks, Santos. But somebody you love racing with and somebody who's a pain in your ass to race with. You don't have to dislike them. You can still like them, but they're a pain in the butt to race with.
Definitely a favorite to race with is probably Kenny Edkin. He's I got behind him, or he passed me there around like lap 15 on Saturday, and um, for the last 10 laps of that race, I learned a lot. So it's definitely nice to be behind him. Now, racing him and Scott, they're both my biggest pain in my ass because they've got 20 to 10 years of experience, and I've got 4 races of experience plus some test and tunes. So it's like, you know, that's where they really get me. Like, I think looking at lap times and stuff, maybe I could have won last Saturday if I beat them to the front, but those guys have so much experience that they came like 14th to first in like 3 laps. They charged through that field, and I struggled to get around the top 3 guys that were in front of me before them. So, you know, the experience really kills me right now, and that's where those guys are beating me, which is, that's the reason they're the biggest pain in the ass to race.
Yeah, listen, I don't think you get too far ahead of yourself there. That experience is going to go a long way for those guys. And they went, when you said, hey, my lap times were competitive and I learned a lot, keep learning. They're going to take you to school a lot before you start winning a lot of races.
Honestly, Brock, you just got to steal Kenny's hot dog roller. That's at least 310. You're probably good. I've heard that from sources.
The magic hot dog roller. But yeah, I mean, you got a lot of guys to follow and learn. And, if you beat them and you do get one, it's only going to obviously be good for you. But I would tend to think that you have a lot of lessons to still learn, and you're going to learn them the hard way, or you're going to have a few taken from you for a lot of reasons before you end up getting that one. Maybe you do get that one sooner or later, but you definitely have the right attitude about it and the confidence to do it, and keep learning, right? Because when you go venture out to these other places, man, it could be an eye-opening experience, right? Whether it's past Selinsgrove, heck, Williams Grove in a couple weeks, that's a whole
Yeah.
nother animal, right? So
But
you've been going there forever, but still driving, it's probably different than watching, I would assume.
yeah, no, I'm not I don't tend to get worried too much, but Williams Grove's definitely got my nerves up. Talking to Doug about that place, he was like, "Don't turn in too soon," and I'm like, thinking about that, it scares you almost just a little bit thinking about it because what are you gonna do? I've got no laps there, and it's not like I can rent the racetrack out. I'm sure I could, but it costs a lot of money, and I don't got the money to do that right now. So,
Yeah, that
we'll
wing
see.
speed, you're gonna have that downforce. It's going to turn really well with that speed. So it'll want to turn. So good luck, because I don't have any tips for you there.
Right.
I don't.
But
know where I'm
actually,
going, so.
and I'll piggyback on that. So, Brock, who do you look for advice in that scenario? You're going take BAPS out of it because you've done some tests, but these new tracks like Winners Grove, who you turning to kind of get any kind of advice?
Probably Doug. Honestly, Doug or my dad. Those two got a lot of experience, dad motor
Kinda
wise,
good.
and Doug championship and winning wise. So those two definitely. I talked to Doug a little bit Friday night. Like I tend not to go to races if I'm not racing, just because I can sit at home and watch it on TV if I really wanted to. So, but Friday night I went, and it was definitely a good learning experience for me to watch those guys race. Now it wasn't sportsman, but it was still something to watch. But still, even then, we'll probably go there, and the track's gonna be 100% different. So it's really tough to learn.
Yeah.
Jimmy.
Tony asked us to ask you who you work for and what the connection is to racing.
So I race or I work for Myers RV, which is the main sponsor of the the BAP Super Sportsman's. So, and then my boss, I raced against his son Troy Rome. So it's it's a pretty good connection there. I'm racing for my boss. So I'm racing against my boss. So if I wreck his son, I'm probably getting fired the next day.
Yeah. Don't do that, sir.
Hey, I'm in the market for a camper. Can you get me a deal?
I probably could, maybe.
Sounds like Jimmy's going to Myers RV here
Yeah.
soon. The main sponsor of the BAPS Super Sportsman Series.
When is the Williams Grove race? What
August
weekend is that?
23rd, I believe.
Yeah, I think it's the 23rd.
23rd. Okay. I guess I got to put that on my calendar, huh?
Probably should.
Yeah.
So, Brock, you should probably take the wing off and get invited so you can wreck our friend Brett Perigo because he's a problem.
I think the wing will stay on for the rest of the year.
That makes sense. Good job.
Looking forward. Oh, good.
Steph, your question is the answer is Williams Grove because that's all he's been on so far.
Babs.
Babs.
He has never been to Williams Grove.
Or Babs. So, excuse me.
Get
Babs.
it together, Jeremy.
I'm
20 minutes
distracted.
in, Jeremy's already wrecked.
Yep. All right, I'm out of here. See you later.
Brock, looking
Good.
forward, obviously past next year. I mean, I know you're kind of, it's probably like, but like, what's your overall like 410 sprint car, stuff like that? Is that what you will eventually get into? And what would be a track that you really want to get to as well?
Probably a dream track to get to would be like Volusia or Skagit or like Knoxville, somewhere that's pretty like historical, but at the same time, like it's not, you know what I mean? Like somewhere that has a lot of, or not experience, but like a lot of history, but like you can still make history there. Um, and then end goal, it's gonna be tough, and it probably won't happen. I mean, I'm willing to do anything in my power to make it happen. But if I could eventually be a professional race car driver, that was the dream. That was the dream growing up, and it still is the dream. I think that's a lot of kids' dreams in this sport, is to make it a job for them. But at the end of the day, money honestly buys rides now, and talent half the time doesn't mean nothing. So I gotta work twice as hard as somebody with money than somebody that doesn't. So um, end goal though is to make it a professional race car driver. But it's gonna be a lot of work to do that. So
Well, I'll tell you what, when you just talk about the local side of things, winning races, running up front, being smart, gets you noticed, and it can lead to shots. So, be patient, keep grinding it out, do with what you can within your budget, and opportunities will present themselves. We've seen that over and over and over in Central PA, and we know in Central PA it can be a springboard to a lot of other things. So, you keep being smart about it, get the good finishes, don't drive over your head, right? Don't, all those things will lead to good things. There's not one race that's going to make it, and there's not one bad thing that's going to break it, but a lot of bad things can break that chance. So, if I could ever stay at 1,000-foot view, step back and look, and Troy Wagaman, I was thinking the exact same thing.
Exactly. Santos, spot on.
Started with a budget, had obviously some help, but did a lot of the stuff on his own, and very smart race car driver. Did his job, put himself on the map, and and his career's off and running. And who knows where it takes him, right? He's not a young guy, but he's not an old guy yet either. So you're in the right geographic area. Take your time. There is no timeline. And, there's guys still doing this in their 50s. You have a lot of time. I know the impatience will be there, want to be there, right? You want to go get all this done and do it tomorrow. But be smart, finish up front, and good things will happen.
Yeah, and I like the point that you brought up. Like, I'm young, I was on that podcast Thursday with Tony Jackson. He was talking about how he just started running 410, and that, a lot of the majority of the guys he's racing are young drivers, and that's where I'm at with it. I mean, could I be in a 410 by next year? Probably not, but even if it's 2021, if I make it to a 410, that's really gonna suit me because I'm young. A lot of those guys that are like, there's a lot of guys that are starting to get old, and their days are limited. I should say. So
Twilight, yes, for sure.
Yeah. So being young is definitely playing in my prime time. It's definitely playing in my future, which I got that going for me, which is nice. And I'm fit. I'm not, I'm not unhealthy. I'm a pretty healthy child, I'd like to say. So, that's also the other thing I got going for me. But now I just got to put in the work and make stuff happen.
You're not a child. You're 18 years old. I mean, you're a child.
I work with guys that are 40 years old, 30 years old, so I still look at myself as a child.
Easy.
I'm still.
Easy.
I mean, you're a baby, but you're not a child. You can go to war at this point,
I can. I'm on the list. So.
But I have two final questions, and I'll go with this one first, Brock. What made you decide to run a super sportsman?
That's all I had. Russell had the car, and selling out go-karts, it still doesn't, come close to what a sprint car costs. So,
Sure.
Behind all the sponsors that help us, there's a lot of great people behind that, and I'll get into that in a little bit. But, behind that, Russell had the car there. He was going to race, ended up not doing it for whatever reasons. And they presented the opportunity to me, and I probably shouldn't have the ride due to a few things I've said in the past, which I apologize for. I wasn't the greatest brother, but I'm trying to fix that and make myself better. I'm trying to, I should say it in general, I'm trying to better myself as a human. That's also
Right.
the other thing I got to do in life. Um, Opportunities come and they definitely go. And I've passed up some great opportunities in the past. And that's the one thing I got to take in the future is take advantage of all the good opportunities and make sure that I'm thankful for everything. So that's definitely one of the things on the bucket list is to better myself as a human every day. So
Sure, that's part of growth, right? Like you talk about you being a child or whatever Jeremy want to call you. Growth. There's growth, so that's good. Um, so now looking ahead, if you could choose one race you would like to win, any division, any car, what would it be?
Can you hear us?
um, I think it's I don't know whatever one is out in California. I still don't know if it's the Silver Cup or the Gold Cup, whatever it is though. I want to win that really
Gold Cup.
bad.
Or trophy
That is
cup,
definitely a
gold
bucket
trophy,
list win.
silver.
I think it's the Gold Cup. But
Yeah, sounds right.
yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
we got you.
We're good. He's just a little
maybe
delayed.
not.
That's all.
Yeah,
He's
it's
a little
just a little
delayed.
bit.
That's what it is. So he's got to hang tight here for a second.
Is that Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we got you still.
Yeah.
It's starting to break up though a little bit. So if you can still
Can
hear
you guys hear
us,
me?
yeah, we got you. Could you? I don't know if you can hear us. I think he's losing it, the connection.
You guys got me back there? All right. All right. But yeah, that's definitely the bucket list win is Gold Cup, Trophy Cup, whatever it's called. I don't know. I know it's a high dollar paying race, and it's definitely one of the more interesting races to watch.
Before we get you out of here, you let us know some of the sponsors that you got and some of the people that help you get to and from the track and that make this all possible. I think he lost connection right at
I
the
think,
end.
see if he comes back in.
Yeah, I'm gonna disconnect him here and see. But he's a smart young kid. You could tell he's got his head, you know, good head on his shoulders and has the right mindset. You know, uh, for a kid his age, pretty mature. So excited to see what he does and definitely name the watch here in Central PA.
Yeah, I agree completely. And I appreciate the confidence yet humility, knowing that he hasn't been the perfect brother, son, maybe, and is willing to even speak up about it. Right? He doesn't have to say that stuff, and willing to say he wants to put in the work and time to recoup that and reconnect with people that he may have hurt or whatever the case may be. So just looking forward to watching him continue to grow behind the wheel and already what he's done, and looking forward to see what the future holds for him for sure.
I'm gonna try to bring him back. It looks like he's moving to. I could see him moving in the background here. I think he's trying to get to
Get to a Wi-Fi
away from
spot.
to stop moving. Yeah. Hey,
Is that
is
better?
that better? Yeah, that's much better.
Yeah, I think so.
Um, so we want to at least give you the opportunity. We want to thank you first for your time and everything. We were just saying how excited we are for your future here, and I think we think you pretty mature and have a great head on your shoulders. So, but want to give a shout out to the sponsors and people that help you get to the track and make this whole thing possible.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of people behind us that make this possible. We got Colton Miller and his construction company. I still got to learn the name of his construction company. That one's got me beat right now. I said that on Thursday, and I still don't know the name, and I apologize for that. Hammaker Enterprises and Hammaker Race and Engines. That's a given. B&B for Birds, FXG sign label. Chad's done a lot for us. He's my crew chief. majority of my crew chief. Him and my dad go back and forth with it, and then Bell Helmets and Jamie. She's helped me out a lot with getting with getting helmets in the past, and there's still a lot of great people there, like Rick Meese and his family, Dale Hammaker. Him and Doug. They've done a lot for us. So there's definitely a lot of great people. Russell, he's gave me the car to race, so him, and then on top of that, my dad. Without my dad, I wouldn't be anything. So the biggest thanks goes to him.
I believe Colton Miller is Homesteads Renovations LLC.
That's what it
So-
is. And that one's got me beat pretty good. I'm gonna have to learn that.
It's on the top wing. It's on your race car.
I know.
Big pink. Come on, my guy.
Kind of important.
Yeah.
From Halifax. Okay. Homesteads Renovations LLC, 717-833-4396 is the phone number. They do have a Facebook page. Check them out. Big help for Brock and his team there. So appreciate you being here, brother. It's nice to get to meet you in this way. I met you, talked to you at the track a few times in the last couple of years, and we're definitely excited to kind of follow along your journey. And obviously the fans are looking for merch, get that stuff out there. Go see Brock. He'll be at Williams Grove in a couple of weeks. Sportsman 100. What weekend, Chris?
August 31st.
There you go.
Be Labor Day weekend, August 31st.
So,
100. And there's a fan fest that day in case you wanted to get there early.
I want to be there early.
Are you going, Jeremy? Are you?
No, I won't.
No, I
he's
didn't
not
think you
going.
were.
I'll be there though.
All right. Well, I believe I'm gonna try to throw some bags in the cornhole tournament, so maybe I can make something happen in that.
The last time Jimmy and I played a cornhole tournament, we didn't have a good time.
You got beat by an 8-year-old. Say it.
Yeah, we did twice.
They got dog walked by an 8-year-old.
Absolutely.
Pro cornholer.
And he straight up flexed on us. It was not a good time.
All right, man. Thank you so much. We'll get you out of here.
Yeah,
We'll see you at the racetrack.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Thanks,
thank
Brock.
you.